Good evening, guys. Nice. Hang on a minute. Not getting what I want up. Trouble already. Right, guys. I think we're gonna have some trouble with. I know. I found them. If there's anybody on, nice to see you, and welcome to Shadow and Lights. Tonight on the Superstition. I'm just bobbing on tonight because I need to get used to doing these again. I've been out of it for quite a while, so bear with me. It will get better, no doubt. Anyway, we're going to look at superstitions tonight. Always fascinated me, so I thought that this is what we would bring tonight, and being as on my own because Lynn's working and can't do tonight, as she can only do every fortnight, which is fair enough. So I think in future we will be doing every fortnight, but that's okay, that's fine. Anyway, let's get into our superstitions tonight and what they're about. Right, explanation of a superstition is an explanation of the impossible and the meaning of the mundane. Most people made them up for assurances during uncertain times, as you can imagine, going back years and years. I mean, they didn't understand anything, so they made things up, sort of things to make them feel better. It was a desire for understanding and the feeling of serenity to make them feel better. That leads to the establishment of the superstitions. They were passed down through traditions and folklore, I think, which we all know about anyway, to keep them alive. They're kept fresh from word of mouth. I mean, anyone that I've heard it from my parents and people. There's no doubt you have as well, and that's why we get so many. It's a sort of they sort of made them up like it was sort of in those days, as you can imagine. You don't know anything. People are frightened of everything, so they sort of made these things up to. It's sort of a survival mode. You know, if something bad was going to happen, if you do this, or you do that, or you avoid this, or you avoid that, then it's not going to happen to you. Which you can understand from their point of view in them days. That, you know, you sort of grasp onto anything that would make you feel better. Which I know for a fact I would if it was me. It was sort of they were sort of in these days we have means, so in those days it would have been like a survival mean passed on from person to person, through culture to culture, and eventually morphing into belief. The trouble with myths, they were always seemed to be very dramatic sort of things, you know, for really everything seemed to be bad to stop this and to stop that. Anyway, we'll get into some of the superstitions that we've got. Now, we're going to start off with the four-leaf clover, which is one that we all know. We've all heard of it, so we're going to go into that. The four-leaf clover is the most well-known symbol of luck. Nowadays, we can see that the universal symbol for good luck almost everywhere. Logos of different brands, markings, prints, internet emojis, and what is basis for the tiny plant being related to luck. One reason four-leaf variety clover prized its rarity is it estimated that 1 to 100 in 10,000 specimens have 4 leaves. However, the four-leaf clover can easily be mixed up with Oxalis depi, a different plant that always has 4 leaves and looks a lot like the famous amulet. In Celtic folklore, four-leaf clover was believed to enhance one's connection to the spirit world. It was believed that the talisman could help a person see fairies, sense evils coming, It was a common practice for Druids and Celtic priests to carry 4-leaf clovers as Christianity spread. It became a symbol for St. Patrick, the saint protector of Ireland. One Irish belief is that the first 3 leaves of the clover represent faith, hope, and love. Whilst the 4-leaf stands for God's grace, a different term for luck, there's also exits a Christian legend that says when Adam and Eve were leaving the Garden of Eden, Eve took a 4-leaf clover to remember her days in the garden. And for the rest of their earthly lives, the plant from paradise gave them luck. And that's where your 4-leaf clover comes in. It's quite an interesting fact on that, I believe. You'll have to bear with me a minute because my everything is messing up tonight, so we're not getting as far as we want to, but never mind, bear with me for now. And our next one we're going to do is horseshoes. It's a very interesting one, this. A horseshoe sounds like a random object, be linked to good luck, and there isn't a clear historical reason as to why. Perhaps because horseshoes are extremely practical invention and they are shaped like a crescent moon. The most influential tale about a horseshoe is from a Christian tale about St. Dunstan nailed the devil to the wall whilst painfully shoeing his hoofed foot with a horseshoe. He made the devil promise never enter a home with a horseshoe hung above the door. Since the tale, superstitious folk have nailed horseshoes, often with 7 nails, above their doorways. This could be done upside down or U-shaped, as some people have different interpretations as to which way secures luck and safety. In the Middle Ages, when fear of witches ran rampant, many households would nail horseshoes to their doors, as it was rumoured that witches couldn't cross the threshold under a horseshoe. Nowadays, jewellery is sold in the shape of horseshoes, and some brides-to-be might carry a cloth horseshoe on their wedding day to ensure a good marriage. Another superstition says that if you sleep with a horseshoe under your pillow on New Year's Eve, the new year will be full of prosperity for you. And that's for the horseshoe. And the next one we're going to do is crossing your fingers. This is a good one. Have you crossed your fingers in the hope that your wish might come true? You are not alone. For thousands of years, fingers crossed have been synonymous with good luck and predate Christianity. But one of the first widespread uses of crossing fingers, excuse me for a minute, was amongst early Christians who had to hide their faith. 2 Christians might meet and cross fingers with each other in order to affirm their secret that they were both Christians. While crossing fingers don't look like a literal cross, the symbolism stuck around throughout history. This involves over the centuries to a person by themselves crossing their fingers in order to protect themselves from a bad omen or to ensure a positive outcome would occur. Soldiers in 100-Year War between England and France even crossed their fingers before going into battle. But why do kids cross their fingers behind their backs when they are telling a lie? It might be because you are hoping to be lucky and not get caught in the lie. Right, I'm getting to oh, hello, Jacqueline. Hello. And I've got Nigel as well. Some of you are coming up Facebook user, and so I'm not going to be able to see names. I'm not being ignorant or rude, not reading them out. I just don't know who you are because you're not coming up. And now we'll go on to, and we'll try and find ones that we know what we know about. At the moment, I'm having to use, because I need my new glasses, I'm having to use my book. We're going to go after this one. Bad things happen in threes. Is the number 3 some sort of ominous magical number? Probably not. But that hasn't stopped people's imagination from running wild. The old phrase is accidents come in threes, freeze a crowd, or death comes in threes might simply stem from the fact that humans see patterns where they don't necessarily exist. The number three has some historical attributions. The Holy Trinity, a family unit of three, people often three names in Western civilization. But some old superstitions that state that three is unlucky, 3 butterflies on one leaf, 3 hoots from an owl, and 3 times a bridesmaid, never a bride, have been taken for Western folklore as bad omens. Most recently, people at the deaths of celebrities have happened in groups of threes. This superstition seems to be born out of old ideas about 3 being unlucky, but in reality, someone on Earth dies an average of 0.5 seconds every day. So simply hearing about 3 people out of the multitude of worldwide deaths is purely coincidental. It's become so common that the fear of the number 3 even has a name, triophilia. I think that's quite an interesting fact on that. I don't know about you, but I've always believed in the 3. I'm just trying to whip through now to try and find it. Right, here we are now. The one that everyone seems to come across is Friday the 13th. And it says, can an entire day be unlucky for everyone? The idea that bad luck can occur on any Friday and falls on the 13th of the month, this can happen up to 3 times a year. It's one of the most well-known superstitions. The number 13 is considered unlucky on its own. In fact, there are a name for a fear of the number, and it is triskaideka. It's Greek for 13 and pronounced triskaidekaphobia. There isn't a particular reason why Friday would be unlucky, although it might stem in part because of supposedly the day that Jesus was crucified in 1307. On the Friday the 13th of October, hundreds of Knights Templar were arrested by the King of France and many were later executed. But the legend didn't seem to gain traction until 600 years later. The true beginning of the superstition most likely stems from a book Thomas Lawson titled Friday the 13th. In this novel, Stoker chooses a date to purposely crash the stock market and make himself rich in the process. Younger people today might have their ears perked up at the mention of the horror movie Friday the 13th, which played off the fears of the infamous day and date. Bear with me a minute. We're not doing so well on this. When I get my new specs, it'll be a lot better. We're getting there. Come on. Right. If anyone would like to put anyone up that you would like me to find, then I will take a look for it for you. Jacqueline. I believe in threes. When I lose people, it's 3 I know of 3 people get injured, 2 neighbours and friends. Yeah, I do as well, Jacqueline. I definitely do. I suppose it's one that everyone does, isn't it? Right, here we are. Now we have one that's an interesting. Dreams. Cultures across history have always looked to dreams as powerful omens. Some even believe that the position one sleeps or the sleeping arrangements can have a profound effect on their dreams. One superstition states that if you get interrupted while making your bed, then you will have bad dreams that night. Other odd interactions like leaning a broom against the bed, leaves shoes underneath the bed, having a mirror facing the bed, or getting out of bed on the opposite side that you climbed in can all lead to misfortune. Another superstition says that a woman who falls asleep with a piece of wedding cake under her pillow will see her future husband in her dreams. Subsequently, if that same woman marries the man of her dreams, then the first person who falls asleep on the wedding night will be the first to die. Changing the bedding on Friday is considered bad luck. But the superstition doesn't have a clear origin. Perhaps it stems from the Christian tradition where Jesus was crucified and Eve gave Adam the forbidden apple, both on a Friday. Oh, so that's an interesting one. But I've heard a lot of other things about Friday the 13th as well. I think it was Friday the 13th, if I can remember rightly. It was a day when the kings used to do the sacrificing on, the hanging days and things like that. I'm pretty sure that I've read that. Bear move my broom away from my bed. Oh yeah, I think you should. I'm not having that. Right, let's take another look at seeing what we've got here now. Oh, here's a nasty one. Spitting to ward off evil. I hate spitting, but we'll see what they've got to say. In modern times, spitting is often seen as rude or unsanitary. I'd say so. But throughout history, spitting was seen as a way to protect against disease, misfortune, and evil spirits. In the Gospel of John, there is an event when Jesus Christ spits, mixes the dirt from the ground with his saliva, and uses the mix to return sight to a blind man. The Roman historian Pliny the Elder wrote about the act of spitting among the ancient Romans. In his description, he says, "We are the habit of spitting to avoid contagion." In ancient Greece, superstitions Greeks would spit when passing by people who were sick with epilepsy because the disease was to be caused by malevolent spirits. The superstition lives to this day in Greek culture, as Greek people are known to make spitting or the sound of spitting 3 times while clicking their hands towards a person. This custom is a compliment because the one performing the act is conveying that this person is worthy of jealousy. Spitting is a symbol of good luck, and translated into modern times, a common ritual among fishermen is spitting on the nets in order to invite luck. When fishing, many athletes spit on the baseball bats, gloves, sports shoes, balls to improve their grip, invite good luck, or as a personal ritual that helps them focus. Well, I've seen them do that a few times. Not pleasant. Oh, what do we have here now? What about not being able to walk on cracks or curbs? I'll try and find that one in a minute. Facebook user, I don't know who these people are, but I'll shout them out. I'll read them out anyway. Friday the 13th is when King Philip of France signed an order for the rest of the Knights Templars to be massacred. Yeah, it's only unlucky if you are a Knights Templar. I'd say definitely. Yeah. I don't know. Can we find the walking on cracks? I don't know. I shall take a quick gander through and see if we can find it. If not, we'll have a quick go through. No, unfortunately, that is not there. That is definitely not there. No. Can't find that. We've got walking underneath a ladder. That's about the closest one we can get to it, unfortunately. Right, everyone knows to avoid walking underneath a ladder. But why? This superstition might have its roots 5,000 years ago in ancient Egypt. Egyptians used the triangle as a sacred symbol, hence the pyramids. And to pass under a ladder would disrupt the triangle that is formed by the ladder, wall and floor. A similar folklore was picked up by followers of Christianity, as 3 is a holy number, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So walking through the triangle formed a leaning ladder is disrespectful to the Holy Trinity. Also, a ladder leaning against a crucifix when Jesus was killed, so that is more ammunition to contribute to the unlucky nature of ladders. Fast forward hundreds of years, gallows where people were hung were often high off the ground and required a soon to be hung person to walk up a ladder. It would be a very ill omen indeed by a bystander were to walk underneath the same ladder. Today, if you find yourself accidentally strolling underneath a leaning ladder, don't fret. You can cross your fingers while passing through. Just don't uncross them until you see a dog. Either that or spit on your shoe and don't look at it until it has dried, gross but effective. They are very, very, very strange, but also very interesting. Oh, I consider them to be interesting anyway. So, do we have anyone else? Oh, who's this now? Facebook user. I can't see who you are, but I'll read out your comment anyway. Bringing a dark stranger through your front door with a piece of coal on New Year's Eve and then out the back door. Ah, Lynn. Yeah. Actually, I think my mum used to do that. I don't do it. It's not something that I followed on with, but I think the older generations really did go for all that, didn't they? All right, let's take a look at what else we can do. There's quite a lot of them actually. Here's one. Never kill a spider. Don't like spiders, so I'm not. Since the dawn of civilization, spiders have been omens in many cultures across the world. Generally, spiders have been seen as symbols of good fortune and have even played a part in the founding myths of major religions. In some Christianity, when Mary, Joseph, and Jesus were pursued by King Herod's men, they hid in a cave. Spiders spun a web over the entrance, so when the king's men came to the cave, they assumed no one was inside because the spiders' webs were intact. In the Torah, a similar story is told about King David, who hides in a cave from King Saul. There, 2 spiders' webs protect the entrance. In Islam, the Prophet Muhammad hides in a cave where a tree and a spider web protected the Prophet from those who seek to harm him. In the industrialized world, we might shoo away or kill a spider, but that was taboo for millennia. One way to keep food fresh in olden times was to keep spiders where the food was stored, as they would kill flies that might otherwise infest the food. There is even a rhyme that goes, if you want to live and thrive, let the spider run alive, which explicitly forbids the killing of a spider as it would impair one's good fortune. That's an interesting one. If you like spiders. Not too keen on them myself, but there you are. When I learned to do split screens on my computer, I am absolutely useless with tech. Then I won't have to do this anymore. Oh wow, this one about funerals here. Let's see what this one is. It says, how to deal with death and dead body has always been a troubling conundrum for humans. It makes sense that the passing of a loved one would inspire superstitions and rituals. The biggest question of all might be, what happens after we die? This question enters the realm of conjecture, belief, and religion, but a practical issue still remains. What do we do with the body of the recently deceased? In ancient Greeks, put coins over the eyes of the dead and burned them in funeral pyres. The coin was payment for a boatman, Charon, who ferries the souls of the dead across the river Styx and into the underworld. Tradition continued for thousands of years. Even Abraham Lincoln's eyes were covered by 2 silver $half. At various times in history, the cultures of Hindus, Sikhs, Vikings, and Romans have cremated their dead. Many cultures have a funeral procession that might walk or drive through a funeral home to the cemetery or burial site. 2 things never to do with a funeral procession is don't meet it head on, and don't count the number of cars. Both instances will bring bad luck. Pallbearers, those who carry the casket, are often required to wear gloves. This superstition took hold in popular culture during Victorian England. There was a fear of disease, so wearing gloves had some logic behind it. But for the most part, people who worried about the spirit of the recently deceased person, it was believed that by holding the casket with a bare hand, you might be inviting the spirit into your own body. So wearing gloves was a form of protection. Learn something new every day. Go back to our beginning. Evil spirits cannot harm a person standing inside a circle. If you hear magic and spells, you might scoff at such things as nothing more than superstition and overactive imaginations. But many people, both past and present, have practiced various forms of magic. Some practitioners in pagan cultures will draw a circle, often using chalk or direct into the dirt, to protect themselves against evil spirits or witches casting spells. In colonial America, even among the architecture of the Christian settlers, historians have found intertwined circles drawn on walls and cross beams as protection from evil. In Europe, these marks were called apotropaic marks, and they were drawn often as flower patterns or overlapping circles. In more modern times, casting a spell or trying to align one's energy is often performed in a circle. That's an interesting. Right, here is another one. Dogs howl, death is near. Ever since the domestication of the dog, 12,000 to 14,000 years ago, humans have created relationships and superstitions with man's best friend. In Norse mythology, Freya, the goddess of death, rides a chariot pulled by cats. Supposedly, the dogs on Earth will howl at its passing. In Celtic folklore, among the foundations for Halloween, there is a superstition that dogs howl when a pack of phantom hounds are leading their master on hunt for souls. Also, the Egyptian god Anubis was a deity of the mummification and the afterlife, and it was depicted with a jackal's head. The Greeks, too, have the 3-headed dog Cerberus as a guardian to the underworld. Some people believe that dogs can sense things about the health and spirit of humans. An interesting superstition which persists in the southern US to this day involves the howling of a dog. If a dog quickly howls twice at a man or 3 times at a woman, then the person will soon die. I don't know if there's any Americans on, then I would like to know if you've heard that one. Lynn. Plucking your eyebrows will make you blind. Giving someone a nicky will make you pregnant. Lynn, stop it. Behave yourself. Now, Lynn, you can't have her anyway, you know. This is what she's like. Just go back to our... Here we go. When a dog howls. Oh, we did. We've just done that one. Can't have it again. Itchy palms. I don't know about you, but I'm always getting these, so this one is going to be interesting. Everyone gets itchy sometimes, but what if your palm is randomly itchy and you don't know why? Some say that an itchy right palm means that money is coming your way, while an itch in your left palm means that you will have to pay someone money. Oddly, the hand that do the giving and the paying are reversed in some cultures. This myth derives from the Western Europe and Saxons, where they would rub their hands on silver to cure an ailment. This shifted to simply rubbing hands on silver to make more silver come their way, and was later adopted by the Romans as well. A slightly different version tells us that the rubbing of an itchy palm on wood will bring someone good luck. I suppose it's a bit like knocking on wood, that one, isn't it? I'm trying to find ones that I've not heard of before. Oh, here's one. It's bad luck to pass anyone on the staircase. You ascending a flight of stairs, someone else is coming down. What could go wrong? According to an old superstition, you should be wary of crossing paths with someone on a staircase, and it could bring bad luck. The origins of fear might stem from very real apprehension that you could be pushed off balance on the staircase. This sounds unreasonable in polite society, but in medieval Europe, an assassin or jealous relative could push you down the stairs of a castle and claim that you fell on your own. Furthermore, wealthy men often carried swords, so a vulnerable person should easily be stabbed in the back while crossing on the stairs. There is a passage in the Bible referring to angels passing each other on a ladder too, which may add to the superstition. Nowadays, it is more an aspect of etiquette to let the other person finish traversing the step in order to avoid bad luck. Also, just in case one of you happens to fall, you won't want to bring the other person down with you. That depends. Right. There are some very, very strange ones. Left-handed people. Roughly 1 in 10 people are left-handed. Unfortunately, people who are different in any way, even if it's just a hand, they are more dominant in. Have often been the target of superstition and bias throughout history. Even the word sinister comes from a Latin word meaning on the left side. One of the original connotations of the left hand or the left side of the body being associated with evil was in the early Christianity. The devil sat on God's left side before he was cast out of heaven, and he was normally portrayed as left-handed, left-footed thereafter, which is especially in the Middle Ages were thought to be left-handed. Joan of Arc, who was burned at the stake at 19, was even depicted being left-handed, but that was most likely fabricated after the fact. Supposedly, evil spirits lurk over your left shoulder. That is why you should throw salt over your left shoulder to ward them off. If your right ear is ringing, someone is praising you. If your left ear is ringing, then someone is cursing you. Other things that can be bad luck if you do them with your left hand, passing a drink or pouring a drink, sewing the left sleeve of a dress before the right, making toast or stirring a pot on your left hand could all lead to misfortune. I'm not left-handed. Ouija boards. I've not heard this one before. Ouija boards, otherwise known as spirit boards or talking boards, are often seen in popular culture as a silly game for kids to play, or perhaps on the other extreme, a malign device to talk to evil spirits. Movie had a lot to do with the negative reputation of Ouija boards, but also the Catholic Church. After a spike in popularity in Ouija after World War One, warned that these boards were tantamount to witchcraft and communing with unholy spirits. The origins of the Ouija board are more innocent than we have been led to believe. Speaking to the dead in a ritual group setting, often called seance, has been around for thousands of years. When two sisters in New York in 1848 began speaking to spirits in their homes, this evolved to an official religion known as spiritualism. In 1897, it was reported by the New York Times that this new religion had 8 million followers around the world. Practitioners of spiritualism started to do automatic writing, where they would claim a spirit from Summerland, their version of the afterlife or spirit world, would direct their hands to write out messages. This further developed into a wooden board with basic numbers and letters and yes, or no, and hello, or goodbye, written on it. There was a planchette, a small heart object that was held by someone over the board. Supposedly, a spirit will be guided the person's hands across the board and answer questions that group or believers wanted to know about. The idea that the spirit world held knowledge and the insights the material world did not have access to. This grew into a board game that was marketed and sold. It became popular with teenagers as a mild form of rebellion, often done in secret in the basement to avoid adults who might not approve of their kids speaking to spirits. The fear of possession by one of these spirits had been amplified by a combination of religious folks and the media. Of course, Hollywood would use this to market horror movies and play people's fears of spirits and talking to the dead. Well, I've never used a Ouija board, so I've never used one, so I can't say anything about them. I will do, but here we are. Placing shoes upon a table will bring bad luck. Putting your feet up on a table or leaving a shoe on the tabletop seems like bad manners and unsanitary. But the superstitions that follow this breach in etiquette are less to do with cleanliness and more about inviting misfortune. The strongest fears about putting shoes on the table say that the person who put them there is inviting bad luck or even death. One possible origin of this involves convicts who were executed by hanging. Their shoes would scrape the platform of the gallows and mimic shoes on the table. The other explanation is more recent, where it is customary to lead the boots of a miner who lost their life on a table out of respect for his hard work and sacrifice. Shoes on the table might mean that a storm is coming. There will be a fight in the household, or or in theatre circles, that upcoming performance is cursed. But there is a remedy. If you get these superstitions and accidentally put your shoes on the table, yes, supposedly one can knock underneath the table, spit on the sole of the shoe, and the person places shoes on the table and one to remove them. Well, he did say earlier on that was good for you. Never take a broom with you when you leave your house. I've heard this one before. Moving into a new home can be stressful and exciting. If you are superstitious, there are certain actions you can take to ensure that your new home is full of love and positive energy. According to a Chinese tradition of Feng Shui, one should never bring an old broom or mop into a new home. An old broom might have dirt, to be sure, but also has swept up all the negative energy in the old house. Discard your old one to ensure a fresh beginning. Some people think that the days of the week matter when moving. Thursday is the best day to move, while Friday and Saturday are the least lucky. The first guest to your house should bring a gift, cake if possible. Other common superstitions when moving to a new home involve painting the porch blue to ward off evil spirits. Having the first item brought into the house be the Bible, hanging a horseshoe over the most commonly used door and counting the corners of each room for good luck. According to the Jewish tradition, bringing bread and salt into the home on the first day you move brings prosperity to the household. See what else we have. Oh, this one here. Palmistry. I haven't heard anything about this one, so I'll look at this one. Mystic seers, diviner than fortune tellers, have been around since the dawn of civilization. One unique version of foretelling the future involves reading the shapes and lines of a person's palms. Palmistry and chiromancy has existed for thousands of years and can be seen in the ancient texts of India, Sumerian, China, Greece, and Arabia. It became so popular during the era of witch hysteria in Europe that a birthmark or a sign on the hand were often given as proof for a witch, being labelled with the devil. Serious practitioners of palmistry will see different lines in the hand, head line, heart line, love line, fate line, and make predictions about the person's future. Overall, hand shape and the mounts and the planes of the heart palm also help the seer to determine one's destiny. Some of the more modern forms of fortune telling by palm readers have come from Roma, people of Europe, often called gypsies. Eventually, the Roma were accused of stealing or grifting their customers, but practice has lived on circuses, carnivals, and back streets for hundreds of years. I don't know. Never speak ill of the dead. Since the dawn of humankind, a special reverence and respect has been exhibited for the dead. Showing respect for the people gone from our lives can involve a specific culture, burial rites, ceremonies to honour ancestors, or passing down the knowledge that has been bestowed by others. Of course, it is possible to speak badly about those who have passed, but it is often common courtesy in cultures worldwide to never speak ill of the dead. The phrase can trace back to Chilon of Sparta, one of the 7 sages of ancient Greece. Supposedly, this philosopher said, "Don't badmouth a dead man," and the idea and phrase has stuck around for thousands of years. Most of this superstition stems from the belief that the dead go to the afterlife, and if you were to speak ill of them, it would actually harm their experience in the afterlife for all eternity. There's a logic to this outside of the religious and spiritual settings. Most people who are alive wouldn't want to be spoken to unkindly. So why wouldn't the same courtesy apply to the dead? If you were to speak ill of the dead, bad luck might follow you around. Even worse, some rumours say that it will cause a dead spirit to haunt you on earth. There are some very strange ones. Saying bless you when someone sneezes. No, I think we all know this one, don't we? Oh, well, we've heard it. Whether we know what's behind it or not, I don't know. Everyone sneezes. It is an unavoidable bodily reaction. What could be the harm in a little sneeze? A legend of murky origins states that sneezing is a moment of vulnerability and gives the opportunity for evil spirits to enter your body. Later on, the phrase "bless you" was deemed necessary to uttered by another person to help keep the evil spirits or the devil from getting inside of the sneezing person. This phrase gained prominence during the 6th century when there was a plague besieging Europe in Rome. Pope Gregory said that sneezing was an early sign of someone getting the plague, so he commanded all royal Christians to give a blessing, hence God bless you in America. Due to German immigrants, the German word Gesundheit can be interchangeable. God bless you. This has caught on, but it isn't really the same as a blessing. Gesundheit simply means health in German. Sometimes a sneeze out of the blue can be interpreted by the superstitious folk in different ways. A sneeze early in the morning means a good fortune will follow later in the day. But if you sneeze on your shoes, watch out for a misfortune. But it's an odd number when you sneeze. Your heart stops just for a fraction of a second. So saying bless you is a way to get it ticking again. Oh, wishbones. Children, especially in America, love to pull apart the dried wishbone. And it seems a bit weird. So where does the odd tradition come from? The Etruscans of ancient Italy believed that studying birds could lead to divination telling the future. They would remove the fecula after slaughtering the animal and leave the bone in the sun to dry. Later, you would stroke the fecula and make a wish, hence wishbone. This folklore transferred to the Roman Empire, where chickens were as common, so villagers could actually crack the bone in half in order to double the number of lucky wishbones. When this practice carried over from Britain to the American colonies, wild turkeys became the animal of choice for getting a wishbone. A common way to get your wish from a wishbone involves two people pulling the dried bone apart with their pinky fingers. The person who gets the bigger piece gets the wish. There's no rule that the superstition can't be performed on a daily basis, but it's usually reserved after the turkey dinner or Thanksgiving in the United States. Furthermore, there is a speculation that this is where the expression lucky break comes from. And now my old favourite, I've always liked this one. It is black cats. I love cats, but there it goes. Everyone agrees that the black cat crossing your path is bad luck, right? Well, hold on, because this isn't a universal belief. This superstition has taken on a second life in modern day America, but in other parts of the world, a black cat is nothing to fear. In Scotland, you are lucky if a black cat appears on your doorstep. In some parts of Japan, if you are a single lady and own a black cat, people believe that you will attract a suitor. In Britain, there is a superstition that is good luck to gift a black cat to a bridal on her wedding day. Also, British soldiers used to bring black cats on voyages for good luck. The fear of black cats crossing one's path might stem from the Middle Ages, where fear of witches and the devil were rampant. Cats are nocturnal, solitary, and have eyes that glow in the night, and are obedient as dogs. These characteristics scare superstitious people, plus their association, right or wrong, with the coming of the Black Plague, probably gave cats their supposedly relationship with evil witches. If a black cat crosses your path, the fear is that it is on a mission from a witch or a witch itself that has transformed. At the time, the supposed curse could be lifted by going to church and receiving a blessing from a priest. There are some very interesting ones. If you would be going on, there are so many of them. If anyone is interested in finding anything behind anything, then I was going to go and look for it for you. Obviously not tonight because we're now getting on a bit, and I've got work tomorrow. So I was going to throw in some everyday phrases that we do every day, but unfortunately, I couldn't see the book, and I'm not going to be able to do so until I get my proper glasses on Saturday. I don't know if anyone's joined tonight too, and there's a few people, and thank you for coming on. Like I said, at the moment, just getting used to coming back and doing things and doing it on your own. I've never done one on my own, so this is the first time I've done that. And hopefully, Lynn will be back for next week's show, and that'll be good, I think. So I'm going to cut it a little short tonight. It's only 10 minutes, but I do have to go to work tomorrow. Anyway, thank you for coming on and giving it a look. I do appreciate that. I promise you things will get better as we go along. It's just a matter of getting back into everything again. So I'd like to say good night to all, and please go back next time. I would really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Good night for now.